Terra learned early on that survival rarely came with dignity. It came with choices no one ever wanted to admit making. She arrived in the city with just one suitcase, a story of a broken family she'd left behind, and the simple belief that working hard would be enough to get by. But it wasn't. When her waitressing job barely covered the rent and her college debt just kept piling up, Terra slipped into nightlife work. It wasn't because she craved luxury or a glamorous lifestyle. It was because she desperately needed stability. She never called it her dream. She just called it temporary. Max, on the other hand, lived in a completely different world. He was a high-powered financial consultant, the guy companies called when they were failing. He was known for being brilliant, controlled, and emotionally distant. To him, relationships were distractions, and people were just variables in an equation. He truly believed that everything, including himself, could be managed with enough logic and control. Their two vastly different worlds collided one late evening, right outside a fancy hotel. Max had just finished a business dinner that felt more like a performance than a real conversation. Terra was stuck outside, waiting for a ride that was never going to show up. A casual, almost accidental exchange of words led to coffee. And that coffee turned into a conversation that lasted for hours. There was no transaction, no hidden agenda, no deal being made, just two complete strangers talking for much longer than either of them had planned. They spent the entire night just walking through the quiet city streets, never touching, but talking. They talked about things they had never shared with anyone from their own worlds. Max didn't ask any prying questions about Terra's work, and she didn't ask about his money or his status. In that shared silence, there was a strange, unexpected feeling of safety. It was a bubble where their outside lives didn't seem to matter. Over the next few weeks, they kept meeting up. They never put a label on it, never promised each other anything more than their time. Max found himself doing things he never did. He was laughing without constantly checking his phone for work emails. He was listening to her, truly listening, without already planning his next response. He was just present. And Terra noticed something remarkable about him too. Max didn't try to fix her. He didn't offer her money or throw easy solutions at her problems. He just stayed. He just listened. But reality has a nasty habit of interrupting comfort. It wasn't long before Max's colleagues found out about Terra. They didn't know her name, but they made plenty of assumptions. The whispers started, followed by crude jokes and thinly veiled warnings about his reputation. He defended her once, quietly, hoping it would be enough. The next time, his defense was weaker. And Terra heard enough to understand. She was the one who ended things, before he even had a chance to try and explain himself. She did it because she had spent her entire life being chosen temporarily, and she recognized the pattern immediately. At first, Max didn't chase after her. He told himself it was for the best, that this outcome was inevitable. He tried to convince himself that messy feelings had no place in his carefully structured, predictable life. But when Terra stopped answering his calls, when the silence became absolute, something inside him finally broke. The control he valued so much shattered. So he showed up. Not with a grand romantic gesture. Not with a checkbook or a promise to solve all her problems. He showed up with something far more valuable: honesty. He stood before her and admitted that he was afraid. Afraid of what his colleagues would think. Afraid of loving someone he couldn't neatly control or predict. He was terrified of choosing a life, and a person, that didn't make sense on paper. Terra didn't forgive him right away. How could she? She knew that love without respect wasn't real love at all. It was just another kind of transaction, and she was done with those. Her healing had to be on her own terms. In the end, there was no dramatic rescue, no Cinderella ending where the prince sweeps her off her feet. Terra left the nightlife industry on her own. She went back to school, taking classes part-time. It was slow. There were setbacks, but she did it with her head held high, with a quiet sense of pride in her own strength. Max didn't save her, but he did something more important. He walked beside her. They chose something much quieter and more real than a fairy tale. They chose mutual effort. They chose to set boundaries. They chose to grow, both together and as individuals. Some nights were messy. Some arguments went unresolved until the next day. But neither of them ever walked away again, because this was never a story about a woman being rescued. It was a story about a woman being seen, truly seen for who she was. And it was about two people choosing each other, every single day, without ever pretending the world was a kinder or easier place than it really is. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, and subscribe for more content that goes beyond the surface. We'll see you in the next one.